Good morning, YouTube. Arizona RE here. Just putting around the foothills of Tucson, Arizona. Beautiful, beautiful days for riding right now. Just broke off from my Royal Enfield group. They're going to go on a much longer ride today, so I just kind of saw them out to the edge of town. The wind has picked up a little bit, so I'm not sure how nice that sounds to the microphone and the helmet here, but it is what it is. Wow, look at that Saguaro there. Holy crap, that thing's huge. So to give you an idea about these Saguaro cactus, you see these huge arms that stick out on the side of them? They say each of those arms takes between 20 and 30 years to grow. So when you see one of these cactus that have 5 or 6 of those arms on it, you're looking at a cactus that's hundreds of years old many times. I mean, these are really really old cactus. So you got to see a little bit of what my little Royal Enfield ride groups looks like. Fun people, fun bikes. So another thing I did this morning was load the camera at 1080p. Looks like I got a hitchhiker flying around in my helmet. So at 1080p, we'll see what that looks like. Also, I figured out why I had an extra stream of wind making some noise earlier, and it's because of this leather jacket that I'm wearing. I hadn't done the motovlogging thing since it was cool enough out to wear a leather jacket, and the collar pins down on the leather jacket so that the tips of the collars aren't flapping around, so it has these little stay pins, keeps the jacket from flapping around in the wind. Well, it also redirects air right up underneath the helmet. So if I have the jacket completely zipped up, it will make that noise, and if I don't have the jacket completely zipped up, it doesn't seem to make as much noise, although I am traveling at higher speeds this morning than I normally do. Wow, what a great view. A lot of bikes out this morning. Wow, look at that house up there, built into the side of the mountain. Not much of a backyard, but heck, you give that up for the view, I suppose. In case you guys hadn't noticed, this is one of my favorite areas to ride in. The far east side, Tanque Verde area, Tucson. There's just nice big open roads like this. Lots of stuff to look at as far as the desert, some really tall desert. By tall desert, what I mean is you got some trees and you got some really old age cactus, and that usually translates to much better scenery. I was just about to say there's a lot of traffic out this morning, but I think the first services are letting out of church. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Oh, man. And when you see old timers like that driving and their mouth is open because it's like they forget to close it, you wonder yourself, how close are they looking out in traffic? You know what I'm saying? God love old people. They've seen it and done it all, but good night, man. There needs to come a time where someone else does the driving. So I'm getting mine in now. Once again, I was automatically looking for that fifth gear. Oops. One of the things I wanted to bring to you guys, and I'd like to hear what everyone has to say, and so I'm contemplating purchasing another bike. Now, I will not be getting rid of the Royal Enfield, and I will, once I do get another bike, I will still reserve my Royal Enfield for the MotoVloggers. Unless there's someplace I want to go that really requires the use of a bigger bike. But that's what I want to get, is the bigger bike. Now, I had it in my mind that I really wanted to go with a KLR 650 or a DR 650 or something like that. And the reasons for it is that you can load them up like pack mules. You can use them as touring bikes, but then you're not limited to only being on paved roads and highways. You know, it's that dual sport, dual purpose bike. And that really appeals to me. Of course, the KLR has a ton of really cool accessories that you can get. The hard pack panniers and tons of other stuff to go with it. Here we go. There's a good group of guys right there. Hard pack panniers and lots of accessories, and so does the DR and the Honda version of those two bikes. But I'm really, when it comes to those bikes, I'm really partial of the KLR 650 and the DR 650 because, well, quite frankly, they're so much less expensive than, say, a BMW or something like that. And plus the simplicity of being able to work on them. But here's my problem with approaching that idea for a 650 and a dual sport. Now, in my mind, dual sports are, particularly those, and I'd like to hear from some of you guys who have owned them, but it seems to me, from everything I've read, researched, and ridden, that they're really more like, they're really built for the street, but they're off-road, dirt road capable. And of course, depending on what tires you strap them with, it really helps that situation out a lot. So I may be misguided there, but I've ridden a lot of dirt bikes, and it really seems like the KLR and the DR are actually quite a bit heavier than dirt bikes of similar size and performance. And so, having ridden dirt bikes so much, I know that flexibility, having a lighter bike can give you some serious advantages on dirt trails and stuff. But I'm really not gonna, I really don't want to get too deep into that, because one of the reasons why I'm sort of taking the KLR 650 or the DR 650 off the table for myself is that I'm getting older, and you know, I rode dirt bikes for years and years and years. I was even paid to ride them for a while. And the crazy stuff I used to do, just the trail riding, it used to wear me out then, and I can't imagine now how much it would wear me out. And I already get aches in my hips and my knees and my ankles, and you know, I've broken both ankles riding, just little offs and stuff like that. I've hurt myself pretty good taking falls off of dirt bikes and things like that. So what I would like to do, you know, and what I keep telling myself in my brain is that I'm older and smarter, and I won't do some of those things now. But I also knew what I'm like. When you get tearing down a dirt trail somewhere, I'll want to give it some gas, and I'm afraid it would be too hard for me to control myself, given the bike size and capabilities. So what I think I would like to do, and I've kind of narrowed it down to a couple of bikes that look appealing to me, and some of them for obvious reasons. Harley-Davidson. So let's talk about Harleys for a moment. Obviously I like the cruiser style bikes, and I do have a weekend cruiser, so what I'm looking for is something that's a little bit more capable than the old Enfield here. I'd like to have something that I can take out on the highway, although highways are not my preferred method of getting from point A to point B. If I can avoid highways and take the more scenic routes, I will. But I do need that in order to get from A to B. You know, I might have some quaint, cool place that I want to go plod around in, but I have to get on a highway in order to get there. And if I'm going to do that, I'd like to have a little bit bigger bike than the Enfield, because I just can't jump on a highway and take this, or I'll be holding up traffic, and that really creates its own set of risks. So Harley-Davidson, and the Harley-Davidsons that appeal to me the most, and for the same reasons I like the Enfield, and it's the classic looks. This gravel and sand in the road here. The classic looks and styling of the hey, all right. The classic looks and styling of the Sportster Iron 883. I really like that bike. You know, Sean's got one. I think that's what XXX Deadhead has. And I've looked at quite a few of them here with that sort of denim finish and that very subtle blacked out look. I really like those bikes. I kind of wish they had spoke wheels. So I've also looked at the Sportster 48 as well. But while those are great bikes and they have their pluses, you know, Harley-Davidsons, man, there are so many aftermarket parts available for them, and there's so many ways to modify them because they're so popular here in the United States that it would be easy to customize a bike and really make it yours. So, but what I noticed is that for roughly the same price, maybe even a little less expensive, especially if you're buying new, but even in the used market, the differences in price are about the same. And for obvious reasons, the Triumph Bonneville, or specifically the T100, but if I could score a good deal on a Bonneville, I could live without the tachometer and the spoke rims. But I would really like to have a T100, and I could see myself on that because, well, quite honestly, it's that traditional motorcycle, British motorcycle design, and much like the Enfield, very similar seating style, posture, and all that. Only it's a upright parallel twin with a lot more horsepower, and it's only moderately heavier than the Enfield. So it'd essentially be like I was riding this bike, only just far more capable in form of torque and horsepower. You know, and this is why I'm whittling it down, and I'm trying to think of what I really want to do. Now, I've taken this bike camping, loaded up the saddlebags for as much as I can, carried a huge backpack, and went out and done camping on it, and I, in fact, actually plan on doing some more here shortly, now that the weather's cooled off. And you know, what I would like to do is be able to take a couple of weeks off of work and hop on something like a Triumph or something that's a little more roadworthy and get myself to a fun area to camp out and do a little bit of touring, but we're not talking like adventure bike type stuff. Really just get to point A, point B, but enjoy the trip on a motorcycle, taking some back roads. And, you know, I can see the versatility of the T100 platform. Of course, they've been making the Bonneville for quite a while now, and lots of aftermarket parts. You get hard-packed metal panniers for that thing that pop right off, so when I'm at home and in town and not on a long trip, I can just pop them off and and go right back to the classic looks of the bike, but I could load them up and take off. And that's something I don't see happening with a Sportster 883, even though that's the bike from Harley that I really like and is price comparable to the Enfield. What's interesting is that for the same price that I'm looking at a T100 or a Bonneville and or a 883 Iron Sportster, I'm also looking, you know, I would be able to completely spec out a used KLR 650 with all the panniers and GPS and any kind of trinkets you'd want to put on it. And not that I'm attached to the idea of having those. I do like a certain rustic idea of roughing it, you know, just remembering your mileage and having looked at a map and sort of planned it and have it in your head. Not always rely on GPS, although, you know, realistically by today's standards it's pretty normal to use that kind of equipment. So just some thoughts on that, and if you guys have some pluses or minuses about any of these bikes, are familiar with them, I know that I watch a couple of vloggers who have done reviews on things like the Bonneville, and that's really helped, and the reviews on and walk-arounds on the Harley 883 as well. Just fantastic gobs of information out there, and you guys are the ones helping me come up with my short list, you know. There may be some other bikes out there I've thought about, you know, the Ducatis and Moto Guzzi, and really just general platform, I guess, is what I'm looking for at this point. Though I really like the looks of the Harley, probably the best, the 883. I don't see myself being able to load that bike up with enough gear to go camping for a week and a half and being really comfortable on it that way. And I'm not as concerned about the overall torque and horsepower, top end speed, things like that, because that's not the kind of riding I plan on doing. The kind of riding I plan on doing is really going to be cruising back roads and back highways, getting to a location and taking things off the bike and sitting in camp. So for me, it doesn't have to be a pound for pound match on acceleration and performance. Both bikes seem to have a pretty good mid-range usable torque, so it can carry my big butt plus some gear on the back. I'm not too concerned about that. But you know, with the Triumph, it's got that flat seat that you can sort of pile things on the back of. They make attachments and stuff for that. But I've seen very few of those for the Harley, so even though the Harley sort of captures my interest based really, quite honestly, on looks alone, you know, and of course the novelty of actually having a Harley. I don't have anything against Harley, so I'm not an anti-Harley guy, but I'm also not a Harley guy where I feel like I have to have a Harley if I'm going to have anything. So for me, it's really just a matter of what appeals to me, but also I'm trying to make some practical sense out of what I get next as well, because chances are the next bike I get is going to end up being my primary bike that I'll use nearly all the time. Like I said, I already have my little weekend cruiser here, and I currently use this one to commute back and forth to work. But I wouldn't mind having something that's just a little more capable. So if you guys got big ideas out there, by all means chime in. You know, I'm not looking for a flame war, Triumph versus Harley, or Kawasaki versus Suzuki, or hey, learn how to ride a dual sport and don't rule them out. That's fine if that's your advice and everything. I'm cool with that. I'm open to all ideas. So like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things, and I will catch up with you guys later. Thank you very much. Again, all the YouTubers out there, this is all very therapeutic for me. I'm exercising my brain a bit, and man, it really makes my weekends enjoyable. I look forward to being able to to make these videos and go out riding and cruising, and it's actually made me go out and ride more, you know, because I'll think, oh hey, yeah, I got this to say, I could jump on the bike and go for a ride, or you know, I'm trying to make this decision, maybe I'll throw it out there and see what these guys have to say about it, because some of you have Harleys, some of you have had some of these other bikes in the past, and maybe you have something to say about it. So I value all those opinions, and I value all my subscribers, so thank you very much, and I will catch you next time. Never had that happen before. I have to edit that out so I don't look like a jackass.